just a tiny adjustment. And here we are. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining Hope in Practice. What a promising title. Um, I'm going to just make a few acknowledgements of things we need to keep in mind for this class. And first of all, I would like to say this is my first time teaching this class. And so it's very special to me, and I'm very, very grateful for you for being here. And I really appreciate you. I also would like to acknowledge all the variety of people that are joining this class. We come from different lands, different experiences, different backgrounds, walk of lives, maybe sometimes ethnicities, gender, etc. So I would like to say that because I would like really to celebrate diversity in my teachings. And so I will always start saying that. And this is what we do in these classes. We we will have a chat at the end and we will exchange views. Some people will ask questions. Some people will ask questions later in the comment. And I really would like to encourage everyone to be reminded of this variety and to be very gentle and think about where others come from and what might be triggering for them. And I think this, if we start doing that generally as a collective in society, maybe we can step a bit closer to, I mean, peace and understanding towards each other. So, right before I say anything else, I will invite us to have a little grounding practice. So you may want to start. You don't have to close your eyes unless you feel called to do so. And just maybe very easily, very instinctively start to get a feeling of the energy of the room. Maybe bringing to awareness the walls around you, the kind of space you're in. Maybe getting a sense of where the ground or the floor is and the ceiling. Who's in the room with you? Maybe starting to feel the energy of the room you're in. And maybe getting a sense of this virtual room and the space we are sharing online. It's very real. And slowly bring your attention to your breathing and how you are positioned on your seat, in your space, and connect with the screen again. And so we arrived. So, a few words about setup, and very quickly. There are many ways to meditate. I think we should say meditations instead of meditation. So for this course, sitting is a good idea. And I'm sitting on a cushion and the whole decor because I have it. But I used to meditate on a chair, so this is perfectly fine as long as we are both comfortable and alert. So we don't want our when we practice something. I mean, not like if you are listening to the teaching. I mean, it's very okay to relax in your seat, but once we start once we start practicing, it's good to have the back straight, but to be relaxed. So keeping in mind this balance of relaxed and alert. So you can sit on the floor, cross-legged on a chair. You could lie down. I don't usually do that because I tend to fall asleep. Or you could stand. And sometimes when we practice for longer, if you're in a retreat, for example, I was in one last May, and I would sit for 5 minutes and then stand for 5 minutes and then sit again for 10. And this is very okay to do so because we have the body that we have, and uh, practicing mindfulness is also accepting our body and its capacity. So this is very okay to move, to change posture, to drink, to stand, taking a break. Uh, yes, all of that. And when we are taking on a new challenge or a new practice, and many of the people who are taking this class are beginners, or they just heard about meditation but they don't have a practice, and it's nice and it's helpful to reflect on what draws us to the practice and what we hope we will learn, what we hope we will gain. And during the course, I will give you journaling prompts. So if you have your journal with you, it's great. I will give you 2 prompts that you will be able to write down. Or if you don't want to write today, I will send the prompts separately with each recording. So you don't need to write anything or journal during the class. But right now, I think it would be interesting to take 1 or 2 minutes to reflect on what draws you to cultivating mindfulness in your life and what is your deepest intention as we begin our time together. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about that. Just being present with what comes up with you, what draws you to cultivating mindfulness in your life. And what is your deepest intention as we begin our time together? So I will have a last few words of logistics, and then we will start a bit more intensely. If you have questions, I would advise to write them down for the end of the class, because this is the moment I will open up for questions. Or you can write them in the chat and I will read them at the end of the class. A very important note: when we start meditation, a lot of things can come up because we are not usually used to having such space for our thoughts or emotions to unfold freely. And sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. And when that happens, or if we are drawn to touch on traumatic memories or experiences, it's advised to seek professional help, because mindfulness is not therapy. It's a huge help in therapeutic approaches, but this is not therapy itself. And the practices I'm going to share throughout the course are introductory practices, and they will help you go deeper and maybe unravel things. If you feel too overwhelmed or upset, please seek help. And lastly, this course is focused on practice. So it's very nice if you can practice in between sessions. And for that, I sent you in the first email, I linked two very short practices. One is 12 minutes, and the other one is 20. And they will help you practice in between sessions, or you can listen back to the one we are doing today in your recording. So it's nice to try and practice in between sessions. It's nice also to journal right after practicing. And you had in your first email, you had a journaling workbook with journaling prompts to try after meditating. And you can also meditate on your own, just like 5 minutes or even 2 minutes. There's no small benefits. And in between sessions, you can also write down more questions to bring to the next class. And everything is welcome, and all questions are valid and useful for the group. So here we go. What is mindfulness and what is meditation? So why are we here? What are we here to learn? What I will do today is offer a few of definitions. So we are speaking the same language. We agree on words, which is very important. And then we will look at the benefits of mindfulness practice and address some common misconceptions. Sometimes we have idea of what it is and what it's not, and we are going to clarify as much as we can. And I will give you an overview of how we will explore mindfulness throughout the course, so you know where we are going. And then we'll practice for a bit, very easy foundational practice. That will be about mindfulness of breath and body. And then I will open up for question. So if you ask what is mindfulness, probably you will find hundreds of answers, and probably as many answers as there are traditions and teachings. And I would like to share one that is very straightforward and that I love, and it's from this book. I'm gonna send you a list of useful books if you wanna dig deeper. And this is called The Mindfulness in Plain English from Bhante Gunaratana. And he says that mindfulness is becoming aware of what we do with the body and the mind. Easy, straightforward. I like that. Because we are human beings that are embodied. So with our body, we walk, we talk. Sometimes we talk with our hands. We write, we work, we create, we cook, we clean the house, we tend to other people or ourselves. And all the while, our mind is thinking, processes sensation, emotions, feelings. So there's these two things, like the activities of the body and the activities of the mind. So that's a lot of activity. I don't remember, I don't have the number in mind, but the amount of thoughts we have in a day, it's crazy. It's really impressive. Most of it happens without even us knowing. And in our next session, I will talk quite more about thoughts and feelings. And so becoming aware of this activity, it gives us insight into why we do what we do. So how do we do that? The first thing we learn is to pause and become present. That's what we did at the beginning of the class. We paused and we took in the space we were in, our bodies, and there is a slowing down that's naturally happening when we do that. And this is true. I mean, I'm not I'm being Dr. Obvious here, but we live in a stressed out society. And in the midst of all the demands of our lives and the fast pace of the culture, it's easy to lose connection with ourselves and what is important to us. So, because there's also many distractions around us as well, becoming quiet and paying attention, I really feel it's a radical act. Or like pause around that, and I think it's even revolutionary. I would like to give you this, to read you this quote that is from Thomas Merton, and I really like the way he describes the state we might be caught in. He says, the rush and pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form of contemporary violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects. We want to help everyone and everything. It's to succumb to the violence of our times. So that's something. But I think we can relate to committing to too much, doing too much, being busy. And whether you're a parent, a caregiver, a manager, uh, whether you're in sales, you're a student, you're whatever we do in life, there's this desire to make our life better. And you might have come to this mindfulness training for that, for clarity, balance, or because you may feel trapped in habits that no longer serve you. And and so you may want to reconnect to that desire. It's of every human being to feel good, to change, to evolve. I mean, it's at the root of even like um, Western philosophy. Or since Aristotle, it was like, what's the purpose in life? It's to be happy. So that feeling, um, it's normal, it's instinctive. But our culture runs on urgency, striving, self-judgment, improving. So that's a different feeling that just, wanting to be happy, wanting to change or evolve. And mindfulness offers a way to be present with things as they are. And in doing so, there is a possibility of change. And mindfulness answers the longing I was referring to, that we all share, to feel at home in ourselves, comfortable in our skin, fully centered. So for it, I'd like to dig a bit, like carrying on with this idea of, checking in how we feel in our current state with the news, the rush, the duties, uh, and maybe talk about that those moments when we do something and we think about something else. Probably you've done it since I started talking. Maybe I said something, you're like, oh yeah, that makes me think of that time and I was late at this, or, the mind does that. And, you might think about, oh, I need to put milk on the grocery list. Or you thought about something someone said to you the other day or whatever. And so that it's normal, this is what the brain does, but we get caught up in these stories. It's as if we are watching a movie and we believe we're in it. So if you go to the movies, you watch an action movie and you really get caught up in the story. But now imagine the screen freezes. And all of a sudden you are back to yourself. You remember who you are. You remember your neighbor who's eating the popcorn with his mouth open, and it's loud and it bothers you, so you connect with that emotion. Maybe you get reminded of the tension of your body because you are not so caught up. You become aware of what you are thinking and feeling. And so that's a pause. This is what we are going to uh, try to uh, learn to do, to bring ourselves back to what's actually happening out of the movie and into a clear sight of ourselves and our surroundings. So about meditation, what's because I've been talking about mindfulness, trying to define what mindfulness is, like becoming aware of what body and mind does. And so the tool is meditation, and meditation is the practice for mindfulness. And this is a practice in the truest sense. By that, I mean, if you want more muscle, you have to go to the gym. If you want more awareness, you have to sit down on your chair or meditation space or anywhere in a bench in the park. But decide like to practice. So that's the meaning of practice is something we return to again and again. And I keep a reminder on my desk, and in a post-it note I've written begin again. And I think this is the essence of practice for me. If you are creative or a writer, crafter, an artist, if you like a maker, you know that sometimes you have to start again because things don't go the way we wanted them to go. And it's nice to have that in mind, that it's okay and helpful to begin again. So I'd like you to carry it as a beacon of self-compassion. Because when you start practicing meditation, you will notice that your mind wanders. And sometimes, because we are so um, trained to judge ourselves, we may think, oh gosh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I've been thinking again. And so sometimes we can try and say to ourselves instead, oh, mind wandered again. That's okay, just begin again. So that's a little tip for your practice that you will be able to try in a few minutes. So I would like to talk a bit about misconceptions about mindfulness. I'm going to read you a quote from this book I just showed you. So I kind of like it. So he says, we are not going to teach you to contemplate your navel or to chant secret syllables. You are not conquering demons or harnessing invisible energies. There are no colored belts given for your performance, and you don't have to shave your head or wear a turban. You don't even have to give away all your belongings. That's good. And move to a monastery. In fact, unless your life is immoral and chaotic, you can probably get started right away and make some progress. Sounds fairly encouraging, wouldn't you say? So I really like this book because it's called Mindfulness in Plain English, and so as you can see, the tone of the book is very warm and straightforward. So as you gathered from this quote, and from what I've been saying, mindfulness is not having no thoughts or no emotions. Sometimes that's a misconception we have that meditation is about to stop thinking. And I'm gonna tell you right away, this is not possible. Your brain, it will think. So that's not the goal. But the goal and the the essence of the practice, we are going to learn it by doing throughout the course. But don't start thinking, I shouldn't think, I shouldn't feel anything, because it won't happen. Meditation is not a trance. It's not an out of body experience. It's not about losing yourself, or like sometimes we hear that, like there's no self. But in deep meditation, you remain in your own control. And I really like that aspect. This isn't running away from reality. This is running straight into reality. And we want to expand our capacity to face and to fully experience life. And lastly, it isn't passive. So yes, there is a receptive aspect to mindfulness meditation, um, like the non-judging awareness. I will talk a bit more about it. But there's an aspect, there's an active aspect too. And this is an appropriate response to the present. So mindfulness and meditation, it brings us to the present from which we can respond rather than react. And so as we go further in the course, I will talk a bit more about the difference between reacting and responding. And we are here to expand that space where we are able to respond. So now benefits of meditations are more and more talked about and discussed, and now even neuroscience has stepped in. But very quickly, I will just say that meditation helps us reduce stress and anxiety, and it improves physical and psychological well-being. We may become more effective or skillful and kind in our relationships and our work. And I think that the most interesting benefit for me is that we get to be fully present with our own life while it's happening. And I would like to read uh, that little list I got from Bronnie Ware, and she's a palliative carer. And she wrote a memoir that's called the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Maybe you heard of it. And so I'm going to read them to you. The number one is, I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life of others, the life others expected of me. Sorry. Two is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And three is, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Four, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And five, I wish I had let myself be happier. I really find this list heartbreaking and also so relatable. But with mindfulness, we are trying to maybe do something about this list, because living a life to ourselves, it becomes possible when we know who we are and what's happening inside of us, and we learn to see what comes from expectations, external expectations. Maybe we won't work so hard, and maybe we will have the courage to express our feelings because we will know what they are, etc. So for now, I would like to give you another definition for mindfulness. So the first one was becoming aware of what our body and mind does. And I like this one from my teacher, Jack Cornfield. And he said in a class to us, mindfulness, a non-judgmental, caring attention here and now. So we have another aspect of mindfulness here. Non-judgmental, caring attention here and now. And very often, if you come across writings or content about mindfulness, they will talk about loving kindness. So that's the quality of the attention we want to give our experience. Non-judgmental, caring attention here and now. So in the traditional teachings, there are 4 foundations to mindfulness that we will explore together. So the body, first foundation, our own body, others. But I also like to think of earth as a body. It's a body we are. Maybe, it's like an organism, and we are tiny particles on earth. So yeah, mindfulness of the body or bodies. The second foundation is mindfulness of feelings. The third foundation, sorry, thoughts, becoming mindful of our thoughts. And the last one, in a secular way, we call mind states. So it's like the process of life itself, the way life operates. So these are the 4 sessions of hope in practice. Almost. So wherever we are, we have the possibility to get caught in the story, in the movie, or to be free. And I really would like to think about mindfulness as a moment of freedom. And I think that's why they call it liberation sometimes. And actually, we've experienced this. So you may want to think about moments when you felt so free because you were so present. We'll give some examples, like you might know that from walking in the mountains, making love, creating. I'm an artist, so when I paint or I write, you're in the flow, listening to an amazing piece of music, being present at the birth of someone or your own birth giving if you have children. But also that very mysterious moment when you tend to someone who's dying. We go through these moments in life when we have to be fully here. And all of a sudden the gates between the words open. That's the moment something bigger to human life. That there's something else to life than checking off your to-do list. So we don't really talk about that very often. And yet we carry this deep sense of humanity. And I would like to say, in a very non-religious way, of what's sacred in life. And it's even more a challenge in a culture that is defined in some ways by the absence of the sacred. But there is a longing in each of us to feel reunited with goodness, with the vastness of our hearts. Because the best adjusted person in modern society is often the one who's not dead but not really alive, like, numb. And we had these states too. We know that what it's like to be numb, a bit like that zombie-like attitude, when it's just too hard. When we are dead, we can't work for the system. But when we are too fully alive, it's hard to work for the system too. We may resist all its unhealthy processes. And really, mindfulness is not about rainbow and butterflies. And, we want to be here. We want to be here for life as it happens. And the unhealthy processes I'm talking about, we want to see them, but we see them. We have no choice. The racism, the patriarchy, the inequality, the pollution, the wars, the constant degradation of soil and water, etc. And in a way, it may serve modern society to keep us busy with our fixes and our distractions, our, dopamine hits. And maybe we want to sit with that too for a moment. So when we start practicing, the truth is we will have this pause, and we will face the truth of life's harshness. We will feel the uncertainty, the insecurity, the complexity of human relationships. We may see where we have run away from our pain, and even the times we strayed away from our own values, and that may hurt. And all of it surfaces when we make our life the focus of mindfulness. When we do that, we may want to look away. It's like in the Matrix, with the two pills. It's a very Buddhist movie, actually. And yet, yes, we may want to look away. In time, with the practice, with the habit of beginning again, this works its own miracle. Because we will discover that awareness is big enough, and that compassion is big enough to hold our humanity, to hold the ocean of tears we carry, and we carry them alongside the unbearable beauty of life. Takes our breath away sometimes. And with the practice, we become more able to meet our human experience with spaciousness and trust. And that's why I call this course Hope in Practice, because hope is also developing that sense of being able and giving ourselves proofs. It's plural, like, because it's ongoing, and it has to be. We have to do it again and again. But this itself, the pause, the discovery of the spaciousness and trust in which we can meet our human experience, this is an invitation to freedom, to ease and care for ourselves, but for the world also. So as we finish this part of the course, I would like to read you a poem from poet Martha Postlethwaite. And she writes, do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands. Thank you. And now we will practice. So, before anything else, I invite you now. We will practice for about 15 minutes. That sounds long, but it's not. I just would like to check in for a minute if you want to let me know in the chat how you feel, if everyone's okay, if you need a minute or a break to, I don't know, do you need to drink, go to the bathroom, something. If you can give me a thumbs up. Oh, good, thanks. I'm gonna drink. So, thank you. So now we are going to practice. So even I'm adjusting my posture. And as I said, find yourself in a position that your body can actually rest in. Because this practice is going to be about taking this pause I was talking about and then consciously relaxing. So, sitting still and remember you can adjust your posture as we go. You don't have to stay. When I say sitting still, that doesn't mean don't move. Actually, moving is not a failure of meditation. So, yeah. I need to say that many times. So you might let your eyes close if it feels okay. And if closing the eyes doesn't feel okay, and for some of us, for all sorts of reasons, it doesn't. Simply lower your gaze, like to a point on the floor in front of you, 50 centimeters, a meter away, and soften your gaze there. And just notice that you've arrived. You've stepped out of the movie into the pause. There's not even a screen anymore. And there's nowhere else you need to be for the next while. And there's nothing you need to make happen. So let's begin by taking 3 slower, full breaths. Breathing through the nose if you can, and letting out breath long and unhurried. Settling in. And again, breathing in and releasing. This breath. And this one. in your own time. And now let the breath go back to its own natural rhythm. You don't need to deepen it or manage it. You're simply going to let it breathe itself the way it has all day without your help. Just noticing the breath. While you are doing that, you might feel where the body meets what's holding it. Whether it's the chair beneath you, the floor underneath your feet, the ground, under all of that, let your weight be received. Maybe even feeling gravity as a welcoming force, not something weighing you down, but something supporting you, so that everything else can drop and there's nothing to hold up right now. Now, gently see if you can find where the breath is easiest to feel. And for some people, it's the coolness or the warmth at the nostrils. It's pretty personal. For other people, it's the sensation of the chest rising and falling, or the belly softening, swelling. So really let yourself find the place where the breath is most obvious to you. And you may rest your attention there lightly for a few seconds more. Not thinking about the breath, but feeling the breath from the inside. Feeling the sensation of one breath happening now. Receiving the breaths. Another interesting way to explore the breath is maybe feeling the beginning of an in-breath, the slight pause at the top, and a letting go of the out-breath, and the stillness before the next one begins. I'm going to let you explore that, staying with all the unfolding of your breathing. At some point, you may notice that you stop feeling the breath. Maybe you are somewhere else entirely, and that's fine. That's noticing, and noticing is the practice. Noticing is a moment of mindfulness. And the mind will wander, because that's what minds do. Minds think the way the heart beats. So each time you feel yourself carried off, carried away, you don't need to judge it. You might simply notice thinking and then begin again. For some people, watching the breath is tightening rather than calming. So instead, we might move our attention to something else, a different anchor. So that's a word we are going to use as we practice. We are choosing an anchor. So that might be the breath, and that might be your body. So that's what we are going to do now. We are going to let the field of our attention widen from the breath to the body. You may want to bring your attention to your hands, wherever they are resting now. And without moving them, without picturing them, what they look like, see if you can feel them from the inside. Feel the sensations that are actually there. The quality, perhaps warmth or coolness or tingling, a pulse, maybe pressure where the skin meets your lap, or maybe the air, the back of the hands. Feel your hands. You may notice there isn't really a clear edge that tells you where a hand ends. Maybe just a changing field of sensations, or a sensation of aliveness, arising and passing. You may feel very little. And even I don't feel much is itself something you're noticing. And you can stay curious about. Interested, open. Now let that same interested, kindly attention move slowly through the rest of the body. Down to your feet, sensing them from the inside to the contact with the floor. Be sensing all your limbs, the weight of them, the places they feel tight, and the places they feel at ease. Just noticing. Feeling into the body, the belly, the back, the chest, rising and falling with the breath, expanding the shoulders, the arms, the neck. Maybe feeling the jaw, small muscles around the eyes, softening. The eyebrows and forehead. Melting. The scalp. You may now be sensing the whole body at once, a whole field of sensation. Filled with awareness, aliveness. This body here. And for a few more seconds, you might want to keep yourself company gently. Maybe slowly coming back to the breath the way we began. Taking another 3, 4 longer, deeper breaths. And we will finish in a few seconds. Whenever you are ready in your own time, you might want to let your eyes open or lift, gaze back up and taking the room again. Maybe noticing how you are feeling right now. And when you are ready, we can open up for questions or impressions if you want. Thank you for practicing. All right. Welcome, welcome.